Hello, and welcome back to another reading. I'm so glad you could join me. You might notice things look a little different. Depending on how I edit this, you might be able to see my legs. How about that? But yes, no, I have upgraded to a new webcam. I am still getting it sorted out between my audio interface and the webcam itself. So hopefully the audio in this isn't absolute garbage. We'll find out. I also have a little bit more lighting behind the camera. I have a soft light going. It is because of my patrons that I was able to do that. I took the money that you guys so generously pledged, and I used it to upgrade the camera, a little bit of lighting. I'm still working the kinks out with that, testing it here and there. If you saw my last parody, then you may have noticed some things different there as well. So it's some new stuff, which is presenting new challenges, which hopefully don't mess things up. But thank you again to my patrons. You guys are amazing. The fact that you support me just means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. If you would like to join them, there are links in the description to sign up for my Patreon, or if you want to just give a one-time non-committal things, there are links to do that in the description as well. Happy St. Paddy's Day! I had a pretty busy few days, and I'm only just recording this on St. Patrick's Day. So, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. A day late at this point. I hope you had a good one. Hopefully I'm not one of those, typical Americans with a little bit of Irish in them going, "Oh, St. Paddy's Day!" I try not to be. I'm sorry you just had to hear me do that. So I think instead of me rambling on, we're going to jump back in to The Legend of Luke by Brian Jacques. Chapter 10. They slept late the next morning. The rain had ceased, and sunlight was beaming from clear summer skies when Chugger roused himself and trundled out onto the bank. Steamy mist from the rain hung over the whole bank shore in a thick, low layer, waiting for the sun to evaporate it. The tiny squirrel raced through it, giggling as he tried to catch the elusive tendrils in his paws. "Oh, we covered in frogs! Lots of frogs! Gonf and Trimp emerged from the cave, yawning. Upon hearing Chugger's cries, Gonf became alert. "What frogs? Who's covered in frogs?" Trimp shoved the mouse thief playfully. "He means fog. Look out!" The mist parted and Chugger bowled head over brush tail onto them. The Gonf swept him up, tickling the little fellow and swinging him about. "I'll give you frogs, you villain!" Soon the whole party was up and about. Furmo and his shrews lit a fire and began cooking breakfast. Dinny appeared out of the mist, toting a pail of water. Don't be for from ye seashores now. Look at all the frog you're about, Martin." Martin climbed halfway up one of the ledges and peered over the mist curtain. "Right, Din. We don't normally get heavy blank mists like this inland. Sea can't be too far off now. Hush! Every beast, sit still. I can hear someone coming this way." It was the otters, Tungro and his crew. As soon as Martin recognized their voices, he hailed them from the bank. "Morning, friends! Breakfast's almost ready. You're welcome to share it with us." Tungro waded ashore, dripping from the stream. "Thank ye kindly, good beast. We wouldn't say no to a bite of breakfast. The crew ain't eaten yet today." Nudging Log-a-Log Furmo, Gonf raised his eyebrows. "Better get more shrew bread on the hot stones. Here was I, thinking I was going to get a nice, big, peaceful breakfast. Now it'll be a small, noisy one with lots of guests." The rest of Tungro's crew came ashore in a huddle. They had Fulgrim with them, a rope lead around his middle, and both his paws bound by a long hobble, which had allowed him to swim. He winked his one good eye at Trimp. "Good day to you, missy. Hope I find you well." The hedgehog maid shuddered, though she bobbed him a curtsy and managed a quick smile. "I'm well, thank you, sir." Tungro drew Martin Furmo to one side. He seemed slightly embarrassed and hesitant. I hopes you forgive me for bringing my brother Fulgrim to your camp for breakfast like this. He ain't a bad beast, really. 'Tis just that his mind's troubled. Martin nodded understandingly and patted Tungro's shoulder. Don't worry, friend. We know a bit about Fulgrim and the bad times he's had. He dropped by yesterday afternoon. There was no trouble. He behaved himself quite well. Tungro looked relieved. We caught up with Fulgrim just after he'd tracked and slain a rat. He lit a fire, and that was how we spotted him. Me and the crew had to jump for Fulgrim a bit, but we managed to tie him up and buried the rat carcass before he... Fermo poured a beaker of Pennycloud cordial for the otter. "'Tis all right. You don't have to explain. We know from the other rat Fulgrim managed to get his paws on. Just over the bank top there. Come on now. Get something to eat." Fermo and his shrews had made a delicious breakfast. There was hot shrew bread, strawberries, and a batch of vegetable pasties. Pasties? With a choice of cordial or hot mint tea to drink. Tungro sat slightly apart with his brother, trying to make him eat a little, but Fulgrim kept his mouth firmly shut, refusing the food in silence. Every beast tried to get on with their meal, but they kept taking secretive glances as Tungro encouraged his brother. "Come now, foal, these are prime victuals made by the best Gaussum cooks. Try some of this pasty, me mate." Fulgrim merely shook his head stubbornly. Tungro noticed the watchers and shrugged with embarrassment. "Sorry, you won't eat nothing. Though there ain't anything wrong with your food, friends. 'Tis the best I ever tasted." Trimp was trying to hold on to Chugger, but he wriggled out of her grasp and went swiftly on all fours to Fulgrim. Smiling up into the otter's scarred face, Chugger grabbed a pasty and lectured him like a mother squirrel. "Eat it all up now, or you'd want to grow big and strong like me. Eat him up if you don't, you river dog." Suddenly, Fulgrim burst out laughing at the little squirrel's antics and took a big bite out of the preferred pasty. "You ain't eating all my breakfast, stop, little sir. Oh, no." Chugger nodded his head in agreement. "Good, Otter. Now Chugger gets shrew bread and minty tea." Fulgrim gobbled another mouthful of pasty. "Why, thank ye, mate, though I likes cordial a bit better than mint tea. Maybe you could fetch me a couple of them strawberries, too. They look nice." Tungro shook his head in amazement at the sight of Chugger feeding breakfast to his brother, both of them chatting away amicably, as if they were old friends. "Well, wallop me rudder, will you look at that? Fulgrim never was the most civil of beasts. Back at the Holt he spoke to nobody, much less smile and chat like that. I reckon my brother's taking a little shine to that friend of yours." Trimp was slightly apprehensive. She confided her fears to Dinny in a whisper that only he could hear. "I'm not so sure I'll like Chugger being around Fulgrim. He's an otter who's eaten his enemies, and he's troubled in his mind. Who'll tell what he'll do if the mood took him?" The mole put aside his food, watching Fulgrim and Chugger. "I don't think he got much to worry over, missy. Just you look at her. I'm like an old mole mum with her infant mole babe. Wouldn't harm a hair on Maester Chugger's little head, burr, no." Trimp watched as Chugger fed Fulgrim some shrew bread. The little squirrel was talking to the otter as if he were a naughty Dibbin. "Now, if you don't eat all the shrew bread, I won't let you have no strawberries, Mr. Fole." The hedgehog maid nodded in agreement with her mole friend. "I think you're right, Din. They're firm friends." When the meal was over, Martin and his group struck camp. Warm summer sun had lifted all the mist, and the broad stream glistened invitingly. Tungro hailed them as they were packing supplies aboard. "My hearty thanks to you, friends. We've got to go now. Safe journey to your mates, Martin, and fair weather to you to the north coast." However, it was not that simple. Fulgrim refused to go with his brother. Digging himself into the bank sand, he resisted all their attempts to move him. Tungro stroked his strange brother's head coaxingly. "Come on, Fole. Let's get back home together, me. Your old bed's waiting for you, and every beast wanting to give you a great welcome. Now what you say, eh?" Chugger leaped from the raft and threw himself upon Fulgrim, hugging the scarred otter and wailing piteously, "Don't take Mr. Fole away!" As if this were not sad enough, Fulgrim joined in, tears streaming from his one eye. "Don't take me away from my little pal. I wants to go with him." Tungro was greatly moved. Dashing a paw across his eyes, he appealed to Martin. "Tell me, mate, what do I do?" The warrior leaped ashore. 2 swift slices of his sword set Fulgrim free from the ropes at his waist and paws. There's only one thing to do, friend. Let your brother come with us. We'll deliver him safe to your halt on the return journey. I promise. Fulgrim jumped up. With Chugger perched on his shoulders, he boarded the raft, both of them grinning from ear to ear. Tungro shook Martin's paw fervently. I know my brother be safe with good beasts like you and your friend, sir. Mayhap 'twill be good for him. They sailed off downstream, waving goodbyes to the otter standing on the banks. See you sometime round autumn. I will be waiting for you with a pot full of shrimp and hot root soup to welcome ye. Good, we'll be looking forward to it. Watch out for Fulgrim at night. He's a terrible snorer. If he can out-snore this lot, sir, he must be a good un. You speak for yourself, Dinny Mole. I don't snore. Oh, yes, ye do. Dodies or gunf. I wouldn't know, Din. When you snore, it drowns out everything, even thunderstorms. The curious raft, with logboats tied to both sides, sailed off downstream into the soft summer morning. Tungro and his crew gave a final wave before sliding into the water and gliding sleekly upstream, home to their holt. It was midday when Logolog Fermo steered into a curving recess. Martin looked up at the shrew as he scrambled atop the rocky bank. What have we stopped for, Fermo? Surely it's not time to eat already. We've hardly been afloat today. Come up here. Look at this, Martin. The warrior joined his friend on the bank top. Far ahead he could see thick extending pine woods flanking both sides of the stream. Martin peered at the dark mass. Trouble, you think? The Gaussum chieftain voiced his thoughts. I noticed the stream starting to run swifter, so I thought I'd best pull in and scout the land. No sense dashing into danger. Yeah, if there is any. Martin mused for a moment, looking from the raft to the pines and back again before making up his mind. Right, here's what I suggest. You take Gonf, I'll take Fulgrim. I wager he can smell vermin a league off. We'll split up and go both sides of the bank and scout those pine woods out. Leave the rest with the raft. Throw a kedge anchor over the stern. That'll slow them up so they won't be speeding into the pinewood area. Fermo agreed with Martin's strategy. An old waterlogged willow limb, forked at one end, was weighted by lashing big chunks of rock to it. When it was cast over the raft's stern, it dragged heavily on the stream bed, slowing the vessel's progress considerably. Fermo and Gonf took off to the north bank. The raft dropped Martin and Fulgrim off on the south bank. Chugger shook a tiny paw at the warrior. You take good care of Mr. Full, or I'll smack at your tail. Martin nodded seriously at the little fellow. Aye, aye, Captain Chug. I'll watch out for him. Never fear. Logolog Fermo had been right. The broad stream was surely moving faster, running deeper, too. Martin noticed as he trotted along the bank with Fulgrim at his side. Without the kedge anchor on its stern, both raft and logboats would go hurtling downstream. At noon they reached the fringes of the pine woods. Gonf and Fermo waved across at Martin on the opposite side. He held both paws up, signaling them to wait. After a while, Fulgrim returned from scouting inside the fringe. He was carrying some ashes and a clump of grass, stained dark purple, along with a dab of ochre still wet from the stream. Urgently, he gestured for them to back off, away from the pines. When he judged they were far enough from the conifers, the otter signaled them down to the shallows, where they could converse across the stream. Gonf and Fermo waded in as deep as they dared. Martin and Fulgrim followed suit, the strong current pulling at them. The otter held up the stained grass and spoke. Painted ones, in the woods. Beware! Gonf and Fermo waded back to dry land. Fulgrim called after them. See you back at the raft! Trimp helped the Gaussum shrews haul her friends aboard, and looked questioningly at Fermo as he ordered the raft into the south bank behind a curve. What? What is it? What's happening? The shrew chieftain explained. Painted ones are in the pond woods ahead. Fulgrim found traces of the blackguards. Trimp was plainly puzzled. What do you mean? Painted ones? No beast knows for sure, missy. Most of us think they're some kind of tree rat. My Gaussum ain't been this far down in seasons. There weren't any about then. I reckon they must have been driven out of their own territory and settled in the pines yonder. Painted ones is vicious savages. Ever just a few. Always come in big gangs. These woods be ideal for 'em. They paint themselves all over, like sunlight stripes and shadows. Painted ones live up in the trees. and woe betide any poor traveller trying to pass through their stamping grounds. Killing's second nature to 'em. They're very good at disguises. You could be walking in the pines thinking no beast is there, and then bang! The villains have got you, and you're a dead 'un. Dinny shook his head sorrowfully. It'd be a great pity, as we be awfully near his seashores. I could feel it in my digging claws. Trimp sighed sadly. But we can't go any further now. Gonf chucked her gently under the chin. Lack a day, look at that long face, like a toad with a toothache. Cheer up, pretty one, or you'll have it raining. Leave it to me. I've got a plan. Dinny wrinkled his nose. You've got a plan, sir? Gonf adopted his devil-may-care expression. Why do you think they call me the Prince of Mouse Thieves? Of course I've got a plan, you old tunnel grubber. Martin prodded his friend's well-fed middle. I hope 'tis a plan that'll work, matey. Oh, indeed. And did you ever know any of my plans that didn't work, oh swinger of swords? Aye, lots of them, oh pincher of pies. Well, this won't be one of them. Not one of those sort, noble whiskers. It had better not be, oh pot-bellied soup swigger. Now, tell on. We won't wait till light. We'll set sail and shoot past them in the dark. They won't expect that. The raft stayed tied to the bank until midnight. Then they cut loose the kedge anchor and hoisted the sail, drifting out onto a moonless, dark midstream. Gonf nodded to Furmo, who was seated in the logboats with his gowsum. Digging paddles deep, they shot the craft off downstream, with Martin, Dinny, and Fulgrim punting long poles at the stern. A light breeze caught the sail, billowing it out beautifully. Gonf and Trimp laid out slings and heaps of well-rounded stream pebbles where they could be easily reached. The Prince of Mouse Thieves chuckled. Speed she's going. We'll be through and past them before they've even guessed we've arrived, eh, missy? Covering Chugger's sleeping form with food sacks and loose canvas, Trimp snuggled down behind him. I hope you're right, Gonf, for all our sakes, but mainly for this little mite. I don't know what I'd do if any harm fell to Chugger. Fulgrim turned from his pole, file-sharpened teeth glinting in the darkness, his one good eye roving wildly. If you want to see dead bees, pretty miss, take a look at any vermin putting a paw near my pal Chug. Trimp shivered, certain that the scar-faced otter did not issue idle threats. As the flotilla of raft and longboats neared the pine wood, myriad eyes aglow with evil intent watched it from the bankside trees on both sides. Small, harsh, excited whispers sounded through the conifers. Here they come! many lots of shrubs and mosses too, ya! Betcha these vittles too, lots of vittles. Faster, did it drop? Fatty won't digger any itch, piggy, have a fun with those. Then the raft was into the wooded area. Martin congratulated Gonf quietly on his daring scheme. Well done, mate. We're shooting through like a shot from an arrow. Not much can stop us now. No sooner had the words left his mouth than the raft hit a thick series of vine ropes, stretched at different heights above and below the water. Every beast aboard was thrown flat with the impact, and both leading logboats and the front of the raft were jammed fast in the cunning trap. And that's where we'll end it today. Whew! How will they get out of this pickle? Thank you again so much for joining me today. I do hope you join me again next week. Once again, a huge thank you to my patrons, as listed before, and here it's reversed. As I said, new equipment, new difficulties. I will see you guys next week. I hope you stay safe. Wash your hands, be safe. And I will see you guys next week.